Hi, it's Mrs. Pope, and today we're going to be talking about solving inequalities. So our goal is to solve one-step and multi-step inequalities, and we're going to graph them. And the steps for solving inequalities, the same as solving equations. And so why would we want to do something like this? Well, for example, what if you were deciding between two cell phone plans? You have Plan A, which costs you $35 per month, plus 30 cents for each text over 500. So you get 500 free. But then every one over that you have to pay 30 cents. And then Plan B is $45 for the month, plus 25 cents for each text over 500. So if you knew that you never text over 500, which I think most of you probably text 500 in a day, if you knew that you weren't going to spend text over 500 ever, then it meant you would already know, because this would go away. How many texts are you going to have over 500? Zero. So you just have 35 or 45. Obviously, you're going to choose the cheaper one, hopefully, of $35. But if you're not sure, if you're like, I might go over 500, maybe I do 600, maybe I do 700, I'm not sure. You would want to figure out which plans did you choose so that it makes sense for how many text messages you're going to use. So let's look at when Plan A is greater than Plan B, and that can help you decide. So we want to look at when 35 plus 0.30x is greater than 45 plus 0.25x. So we want to look at this and see if x is the number of texts over 500. If we solve this for x, we solve this inequality for x, we can find the magic number of text messages where it's going to say that Plan A is going to be more than Plan B. So then if you get over that number, you should probably choose Plan B. So let's go ahead and solve this. We want to get our like terms on one side. So I'm going to subtract the 0.25x from both sides. So 35 plus 0.30x minus 0.25x is greater than 45 plus 0.25x minus 0.25x. So I subtracted that from both sides. So I have 35, 0.30 minus 0.25 plus 0.05x greater than 45. All right, I'm trying to get x by itself, so I need to get rid of the 35. So let's subtract 35 from both sides. So if we have 35 minus 35 plus 0.05x greater than 45 minus 35, these cancel each other out. 0.05x greater than 10. Let's divide by 0.05. Divide by 0.05. X is going to be greater than 200. So let's take a minute and think about what this means. We don't want to get bogged down with just solving the inequality and coming to a number and saying the answer is x is greater than 200. Well, what does that mean in relation to this problem? Well, x is the number of text messages over 500. So if you have more than 200 for x, that means you are texting over 700, then Plan A is going to be more than Plan B, which means if you're going to text more than 700 text messages in a month, you should probably go with Plan B. However, if you're going to text less than 700, it's going to make more sense for you to go with Plan A. So this is a real-world example of why we would use something like solving inequalities. So let's go down to some more examples. Here we have example 2, solve and graph this inequality here. Same steps that we did before. We want to solve for the variable and then go ahead, we're going to graph this one now. So I want to move my 4w over to this side. Let's collect all of our like terms. So we're going to subtract 4w from both sides. So the original equation, 5w minus 4w plus 3 greater than 4w minus 4w plus 9. So those are gone. I'm left with 9 over here. And I have 1w plus 3 is greater than 9. If I subtract 3 from both sides, then these cancel out. I'm left with 1w, or just w is greater than 6. We know how to graph these from before, so if w is greater than 6, we're going to go to 6, open circle, greater than, we're going to shade everything to the right. All right, simple as that. The next one we're looking at, example 3, solve and graph negative 4x is less than or equal to 5x plus 58 divided by 6. So this one has a few more steps, but we just still want to do the same thing. Get all the x's on one side and isolate the x variable, and then let's look at this, how we could graph it. So first thing I would do here, if I were you, is I would multiply both sides by 6. if I multiply both sides by 6, then I've gotten rid of that denominator. So what you would have left, this is 6 times negative 4, so we'd have negative 24x is less than or equal to 5x plus 58. So I multiply both sides by 6. 6 times negative 4x, negative 24x. And now let's subtract 5x from both sides. So negative 24x minus 5x is less than or equal to 5x minus 5x plus 58. Those go away. Negative 24x minus 5x, negative 29x is less than or equal to 58. So from here we want to divide both sides by negative 29. Divide both sides by negative 29. Be careful, we're dividing by a negative and we have an inequality here. So we must flip the sign. You must keep that in mind. We need to flip the sign. So our answer, x, and notice what I said, it's not less than or equal to anymore. It's going to be greater than or equal to. And 58 divided by negative 29, negative 2. So when we graph this, we want to graph x is greater than or equal to negative 2. The reason I flipped the sign is because I divided by a negative with an inequality. So I had to flip the sign. So go to our graph where x is negative 2. We're going to have a closed circle. And we want to graph greater than that. So everything to the right would be shaded. One more example, and then I'm going to solve it, but then you can graph this one on your own. So example 4, solve, and you're going to graph it on your own. I'll help you solve it. So first things first, we're going to use the distributive property because we have negative 5 times the quantity, 3d minus 7, greater than or equal to 3 times the quantity, 2d plus 14. So let's distribute the negative 5, and then we're going to distribute the 3 first so that we can solve these. So negative 5 times 3d, we have negative 15d plus 35, greater than or equal to 6d. And don't forget, notice I have the negative 5 times the negative 7. That's why we came up with the positive 35. Do not forget that negative. That'll mess you up each time. All right, so and then the 3 times 14, so 60 plus 42. And now we're going to go ahead and solve. Let's get our d's on one side. Let's subtract 6d from both sides. Negative 15d minus 6d plus 35, greater than or equal to 6d minus 6d plus 42. Negative 15d minus 60, negative 21d plus 35, greater than or equal to 42. And then we need to subtract the 35 from both sides. So negative 21d plus 35 minus 35, greater than or equal to 42 minus 35. Remember, you're going to graph this one on your own. So start thinking about that. Negative 21d is greater than or equal to 7. And divide by negative 21. Divide by negative 21. D, don't forget to flip, is now less than or equal to, because I divided by a negative 21, 1/3, if we want to simplify that. Negative 1/3. You can turn that into a fraction if that's, or a decimal if it's easier for you to graph. However you'd like to graph it works with me. Thanks for watching, and remember, you're responsible for your own learning.